Everybody. I'm just going to hang on for a couple more minutes to see if anybody else joins us for the 10:30 a.m. start. So just bear with us, okay? If you've just joined us, I'm just waiting for one or two people to log on and join us for the webinar this morning. And we'll start promptly at 10:30. Right, that's the clock done. So, first of all, good morning. Welcome to FAAC UK Limited's latest webinar. This one is going to be covering the 950N2 external operator. We've done the 951, which Ruben did a couple of weeks ago, and so we'll be covering the 950N2. I'm just about to put the slide up now. My name's Robin Palmer. I'm the automatic door sales manager for the UK for FAAC. I'm here to support the regional sales managers with regard, obviously, their client base. I'm also here to help with inquiries, specifications, site surveys even, quotes, planning and training. My contact details are available at the end on one of the slides if you want to get in touch or give us a call on anything you've got any questions about regarding maybe projects you're dealing with. And what I'll do now, I'll start the presentation, go through this. We will have a Q&A section at the end of the slide presentation, so just be patient. If you've got any questions during the presentation, just wait till the end and I will answer them as best can. All right, so just bear with us. Let's get the slide going. As I've just explained to you who I am and obviously my role within the company, and this is a brief outline of what we're going to be doing. Obviously through the presentation, I'll be covering the introduction to the 950N2 operator, internal layouts, key features, where it's used, obviously the application. There is sometimes a mixture of places it can be used. We'll be covering quite a few points on surveying. This is where we get a lot of questions asked and also a lot of advice required when people are actually looking to specify or to automate a door, maybe if they haven't done one before, or obviously if they forget one or two of the EN 16005 regulations they have to adhere to. We'll cover obviously the arm situation about reveals and what they can cover, activation safety sensors, 950N2 dedicated accessories, wireless activation, very much obviously a hot topic at the moment regarding cross-contamination, intercom, which is basically operators working together in different scenarios such as airlock situations, etc., and also the quick start guide and contact details at the end. 950N2 basically designed, it's an external operator designed for external doors, able to handle positive and negative pressures within building, obviously that you get when opening and shutting the door, front door entrances. Also obviously can be used internally on maybe heavy traffic areas and even used in areas of manufacturing, etc., for heavy doors or for airlock circumstances, etc., like that. Okay, the 950N2 swing door operator, it's got an anodized aluminium housing profile with side panels. Built into one of the side panels is a little key switch, obviously, which I'll discuss in a short while. The dimensions are very neat and compact, only 530 in length and 105 in high and 160 deep, so can fit above quite tight spaces if and where required. It weighs 10 kg, max power is 100 watts, and the standby power is only 5 watts, that's without accessories. The door leaf weight capabilities can go up to 360 kg. I'll be covering that later on in a slide. And also the single door leaf widths are able from 700 to 1400 in width. The power opening is basically powered opening spring closing. It complies with a couple of boards in there, one the MPS control board and the IO input output board, which provides real-time control. Obviously you can program it speeds and obviously delay times and opening times all through the main board. The master slave function is available. All operators come as a master initially from the factory and when you buy them, but they can be designated and programmed to be a slave unit if being worked in a pair or even more. You do need the KP Evo to get this program required. Okay, I'll go through what KP Evo is if you're unsure. Integrated switch for opening, automatic and open and manual night function, that's on the side. When it says manual night function, basically you can obviously turn the operator off, and if people are locking a front door, make sure your client knows that they have to unlock the door before they turn the operator on so they don't burn the motor out. The operator is compliant with EN 16005 regulation, which covers obviously a lot of the points to do with disability access, and also obviously there's a few of the EN 61000's points that it covers as well, and the EN 13849 points. Internals of the operator. Quite a nice, neat little diagram. It just points out where the operator parts are situated. The IO control board is there on the left-hand side, number one. Number two is the radio receiver connector. This basically means we can plug in a board, obviously, for wireless activations. The laminated transformer is there. Number four is the return spring with transmission arm coupling. Now, this is obviously where the operator's arm is connected into the operator. The 950 N2 control board is number 5, and number 6, integrated magnetic encoder, and number 7 is the DC motor. Like I mentioned before, you can add in receiver cards for wireless pads, also our XT868 handheld transmitters. You can integrate those regarding different forms of access control. Also, obviously, along with keypads, fob reads, etc., if they are wireless. And also, you can plug in an interface card if the wireless activation is going to be on a double door set. The key features. It's able to be used in left and right applications with push or pull arms, all through the same operator. You don't need any other form of operator or any form of different arms, etc. along those lines. It's all through the same one. Anti-wind function ensures door is closed at all times. The anti-vandal system to protect the motor if leaf movement is forced. Anti-crushing safety devices during opening and closing cycles. Obviously, normally you would integrate safety sensors such as our XPBs or our flat scans for safety on the door leaves as they're opening and closing, but obviously it means that this operator can, as it's closing, if it does come up with an obstruction, it will stop and open itself back up again. Can be integrated with existing access control systems, so for example Paxton's, etc. So it doesn't have to be obviously all our own activators if there is some already existing on site, or if they are actually having this different one specified for a particular project. No communication card needed for the master slave configuration. Obviously you do need the KP Evo to program it that way, and able to power and control 24 volt DC locks, electric strikes and magnetic up to 500 mAs consumption. Color coded connections when setting up to make it simple. There is a quick fit guide which I'll talk to you about in a short while, And also you can use the different programmers and key switches that we have: KS Evo, KP Evo, and the LK Evo. And also it has a calendar timer program. You need the KP Evo to be able to program this. It's built into the system, and obviously you can either set it up for the client themselves if they give you a program that they want the door to open and close to, or obviously you can set it up and keep the KP Evo. And then also this is a diagnostics tool if there's any other issues, obviously, with the operator itself. These are some of the areas that you can put the operator in. Obviously, contactless applications, which are very common at the moment. We're getting a lot of requests for them regarding contactless pads, radar applications, and people not wanting doors now to be manually touched. So automated door systems are the ideal way to overcome these issues. It can be put into offices, commercial buildings, hospitals, education, hotels, doorless, restaurants, pharmacies, museums, basically any external or internal door swing application. Preferably if it's internal, it's normally for heavier traffic areas, or obviously if the doors are extremely large and extremely heavy. You can also use it in manufacturing areas, maybe for airlock doors, etc., as mentioned previously. So basically you can use it all over the place. Along, obviously, we do have our 951 operator as well, which is for internal use specifically. During surveys and the application, we get a lot of questions when looking at doors and where they're going to be automated and the sort of operators required. A lot of the points, we get a lot of inquiries sent in, and we have to phone back with a lot of questions sometimes because certain things have been missed. So I've made some bullet points here to go through about when you're surveying for swing door applications, especially for the 950N2, and some of the things maybe you need to take in mind, either talking to the client or if it's your own door sets yourself, obviously what you need to think about before obviously specifying it and wanting the 950N2 to be applicated to those particular doors. When I look at the doors, obviously, to be automated, these are things, like I said, we look out for. I'll go through the bullet points from the start. It's an internal or external door set. Is it single or double door? Are the doors linked in any way? So is there going to be a lobby scenario, an airlock scenario? Do the operators want to be linked together, or do you want them to work independently, obviously regarding just standard radar activation? Which way does the door open, outwards or inwards? This is relevant depending on the arm you're going to use, whether it's a sliding arm or whether it's a push arm. Which side does the operator need fixing? Pull, push, like I've just mentioned. Type of building. So basically, if it's a hospital or maybe a college or university area where there's going to be slightly younger people, etc., you've got to bear in mind, obviously, the safety sensors, etc., you're going to use, the timing of how quickly that door opens, etc., and also, obviously, the safety elements. The type of people using it. Are they elderly? Are they infirm? Is it children? Obviously, is it basically trained staff areas, so they're aware of obviously the door, etc., of what's going on. It's always handy to know these sort of things. Are the doors free swinging? Now this is an important thing and often missed, especially on aluminium or steel doors. If they have been put in there as a manual door initially, they normally have a spring closer built into either the frame of the door or the top of the door. If you are going to automate an aluminium or steel door set in this circumstance, you will need to replace the closer, the transom closer, with a dummy one, which basically doesn't have any spring to make the door free swinging. It's often missed. Often people will try and mount an operator and automate this sort of door, but it will give some resistance to the operator, which really you don't need. Okay. Is the door part of the fire escape? What does the client want the door to do in the event of fire? Very important. Do they want the power to cut and it just become a manual door? Do they want the automated system to carry on working after the fire alarm has gone off? If that is the case, you'll need an uninterrupted power supply to the operator. Is there an open hinge? If so, do you need a finger guard? Obviously, an open hinge when automated door is classed as a finger trap. We do plastic ones which you can fit to them. Also, you can have the likes of our flat scan safety sensor. I'll go into this in a little bit more detail, but the flat scan covers the hinge safety, obviously, so you don't need a finger guard, but also covers the XPB, which is the safety sensors for the opening and closing faces of the doors, all together. When does the door need to be automated? Day, night, 24 hours? Does it need to be on a calendar system? Is it weekend hours? Do they have maybe night classes at night? Obviously, you can set a program calendar up there, or obviously you can just make sure the individual has certain key switches so they can turn the operator off if and when required. Type of activation, obviously currently contactless is massive at the moment regarding cross-contamination. So radars, contactless pads are very popular, our XMS. You may have seen some of the things we've advertised on the LinkedIn pages. Obviously, is it existing? If it is existing, you can integrate practically any other access control system into our operator anyway. So you don't need any special cards or anything to put those in there. Safety sensors, XPBs or flat scans. The XPBs are the black tube looking ones you see on automated doors. Obviously, we recommend with the 950N2 they are definitely put on these. What these do is if the door is closing and somebody hasn't cleared the way as the door is closing, it will pick up that person and then open itself back up again and make sure it doesn't get anywhere near them. The flat scans do exactly the same. They use a 172-point laser system to map out the door and obviously cover any obstacles that are in the way and make sure that the door operates in a safe manner. The side approach issues, this is where the door may swing open onto the outside, but maybe in an open area. If it doesn't open to a return wall, or if the return wall is more than maybe 400 millimeters away, we would recommend a barrier being put there. That can be either surface fixed or it can be wall and floor fixed. And what it does, it has to have a solid infill, and it stops side approach, which makes people approach from the front of the door. The solid transom is a given basically for where the operator is going to be mounted. Make sure it is solid. That means it's got either some timber behind the stud work, or obviously it's a concrete lintel of some description. This is very important, as in with the weight of the operator being 10 kg, if it's not and just fitted to stud work lightly, it will rip itself off the wall and fall down. So make sure the transom above the door where you're going to fit it can take the operator. Keep an eye on any architrave or door frames for the depth of the arm. So where you fit the operator above the door, make sure obviously you know the distance that it has to clear before the arm can go and fit to the top of the door. This is important. We do shaft extensions which can make the obviously arm drop lower to make sure it clears any architrave or door frame. The top rail of the door is important. If it's an aluminium or timber door, we normally recommend it be at least 75 mm in depth to make sure there's enough space to fit the arm and also the safety sensors. Sometimes you'll get a very thin top rail and there won't be. You may have to put some form of fixing plate above the door. Okay, and any other obstructions stopping the door free swinging. And things to bear in mind is obviously other door routes as well. Do other doors open near where this one's going to go? Will they trigger the radars? Do they open away? And also the way the traffic is flowing. Obviously, if you've got any questions regarding the surveys, I'm more than happy to either help you out by coming and surveying with you, or you can phone me up and I'll give any recommendation or advice, or if you send photos in, we can do obviously advice that way. Application limits. Basically, this is talking about obviously the reveals and obviously door weights, etc. The external and internal door application. Max door weights is 360, but that's on a 700 mm wide door. There is a chart on our data sheet which is available obviously on our website, and there's a link to that at the end of this presentation. The door widths can go from 700 to 1400 mm wide, but obviously depending on the width of the door will also change the weight of the door can handle. Max door post obviously 200 mm. Use frequency is 100%. No communication cards needed for double door application. and also power opening the spring closure we mentioned. We can go up to a 600mm reveal, but with the arm you need an extension on the push arm. That's only on the push application. The obviously pull application is a lot less. So if it can be a push application and there is a large reveal, obviously with the extension we can cover up to 600mm. Push arms obviously and pull arms, they come obviously with the bolts provided. The sliding pull arm is in a sliding configuration, and we have an 80mm and a 50mm shaft extension to help cover obviously the drop down areas if required to, as I mentioned, get by the architraves or any large door frames. Okay. These are some of the activation devices we've got: radar applications, contactless pads, external contactless pads as well, IP65 rated. We also do our standard push to open, our disability pads. These can be hardwired or wired in, and also obviously you can use any other sort of access control systems if you are integrating it into an existing system. Safety devices are basically, you'll see where our XPB is. These fit on the external and the internal side of the face of the door. If the door is over 900mm, we would suggest the internal one being a double modular safety sensor to make sure it covers obviously the whole closing application of the door. The 340 sensor goes on the external side, on the opening side, and obviously your finger guard would be put on this if it was an open hinge. The way around this to get rid of using all of those would be to use the flat scan. Now the IPB scan fits into the top corner of the door, it covers the hinge area, so no finger guard required, and maps out, like I said, 172 laser points and covers the opening and closing faces. Very discreet, very nice obviously in its application, not intrusive on the door. You can actually paint these up to match obviously the colours if doors are painted into a specific colour. Here we have the wireless setup. The receiver card is an extra item you would need if you're having wireless configurations. That just simply plugs into the board. Also, if you're having a pair of doors and you need them to use a wireless configuration with this is our XPB, is the top right hand corner, the black and the white handheld transmitters, come in 2 or 4 channels. You will need obviously the receiver card if you're going to use a wireless system, and also you will need the interface card if it's going to be a double door set. You can integrate obviously wireless push pads, keypads, or fob systems along those sort of lines. These are some of the configurations, and we're right near the end now of the presentation. These are some of the brief configurations, the interlock ones. Again, you need the KP Evo to help program these. The interlock mode door can only in the closed position, interlock with no memory, with 4 sensors. The second opening is not automatic, and the interlock with memory with 2 unidirectional sensors or buttons, the second opening is automated. Under the current climates, obviously the interlinking doors and operators seems to be becoming a lot more common, and obviously, like I mentioned before, all the operators come as a master and then get programmed into the slave. 2 leaves here, obviously automating. This can be used under rebated doors, obviously where you need to maybe have one operator start slightly ahead of the other. You have a master slave configuration again. The one that opens first is the master, and if there's no overlap, either of the 2 units can be set as the master and the other as the slave. Obviously the KP Evo helps to program this rapidly. The indoor-outdoor sensors and safety sensors must be connected to their own unit though. All right, all of the devices are connected only to the master. And then the leaves on interlock. This is where you have 1 master, and this would incorporate 3 slave units. So 1 master and then the 3 slave units. The configuration integrates the 2 leaves function on 2 double leaf accessors with the interlock feature. As mentioned at the very start, there's a quick start guide and also our data sheets and manuals, which you can download from our FAAC website on our page. There's a link here for it. We do recommend as well that you use full manual as well along with the quick start guide. Don't just use the quick start guide. Make sure you read through the manual as well, obviously for the main guide points. Stay connected with FAAC UK Limited on LinkedIn to see what other webinars will be coming shortly in the near future. And also obviously my contact details and email addresses here on the website, and obviously here if you need to get in touch with me regarding any questions you have either about the presentation, specification, EN16005 or the like. As a promotion regarding you coming and looking at the webinar, we've got a little promotion regarding a contactless magic switch. So basically a free magic switch when you place an order for a 950N2 operator and quote webinar magic, or £30 money off when you order a 950N2 and quote webinar voucher. The valid date for the end of this is the 30th of the 6th, 2020. Okay. I hope you've enjoyed that. I try not to rush through most of it. I hope you picked up some points. If you've got any questions, ping them away underneath here. If not, obviously, you can drop me an email or give me a call accordingly. And thank you very much for your time. And thank you very much for logging into the free FAAC webinar. And I'm sure we'll be hosting some more very soon. Thank you very much. I'll just stay online for the next few minutes. And so obviously, if there's any questions, just throw them in there. You're welcome, Anthony. If there's any particular, obviously, webinars you would be interested in regarding any of our products, have a look at them online and obviously let us know. And I'm sure we'll be able to put something together if we've not done one already. And he's just asked if the door can be used manually, and does it harm the motor and gearbox. Basically, we do have a system as well which has something called a fast food setting. So basically it means you can manually use the door. So as you push the door and open it up, it will be slightly heavier to push the door open because obviously it's got a gearing system in the operator, etc. But you can actually use it where you can push the door and obviously the door can take over, and no, it won't harm the motor. But you can, like I said, use it with. Please email the link to me. Okay. Zuba on interface to the file on manual open. As mentioned, obviously regarding fire alarm systems, you can integrate the fire alarm systems into the operator. A lot of it depends what you want the operator to do. Regarding a UPS, an uninterrupted power supply, if that is still active once the alarm has gone off, that means obviously the operator can still be automated. Or you can have it to, if you use the UPS, you can have it to power open and keep open. It depends obviously if the door in itself is part of the fire break system, and it needs to be obviously keep the integrity firewall in there. Okay, Zubair. When you say accreditation, Mike, basically the advice for installing our FAAC operators, we offer free training regarding installing the 950N2 and obviously 951. At the moment, we can do that. We were doing it in-house. Obviously, we have restrictions at the moment regarding COVID and distancing. We are looking at obviously being able to do this online in formats where we can train people to actually install the operator. Once you've been had advice and obviously had some training on installing a FAAC operator, that basically covers the legislation regarding installation, obviously, and automating a door system and making sure you're qualified. There are obviously the ADIA Association, Automatic Door associations that you can register and log on to. They do courses as well regarding EN 16005, which are very informative and very helpful as well. So it's advised to go have a look at the ADIA courses on there, or obviously get in touch with us and we'll be informing a lot of our clients. We had to cancel a lot of training sessions before the lockdown period, and obviously those people will still be looking at getting trainings. If you have 4 or more of your own engineers, we can actually we would be doing the training in your own premises. If you have obviously maybe a training room, obviously, or board. At the moment, again, that is still on hold due to the distancing issues, etc. But feasibly, we could actually do a training session via webinar, very similar to this. So a live training session on the operator, and I'm sure that would still be as beneficial and obviously help for future installs, anybody wanting to install our operators. I would have thought, Mike, depending who's installing the power supply, which is a 230 volt, obviously key switch, or obviously power supply near the operator, whether you're a qualified electrician to install that, obviously you'll need the proper, obviously, certifications to make sure you're able to obviously install the power supply. Regarding the actual operator itself, once you've had training on our part, then obviously you're fine to install obviously the operators. Thanks, John. Like I said, anyway, I think that's about it for now. So what I'll do is obviously sign off. If you've got any other questions, obviously my email address and contact number is on this, or you can contact the office or your regional sales managers, and obviously get in touch with us if you want to know more about our automatic door situations, or obviously anything to do with any of our products regarding gates, barriers, pedestrian access, obviously pedestrian barriers, the whole shooting match. So just get in touch. Thanks for your time. Stay safe and keep well, everybody. And I look forward to speaking to you another time on maybe one of our other operators. All right. All the best. Thank you.